Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
And today we're here to talk about Give No Shelter, Episode 2 of the Walking Dead Michonne series.
Yep, so jumping in. A daring escape from the floating colony of Monroe sees Michonne, Pete, and Sam running for their lives. In all too brief reprieve, soon shattered. The leaders of Monroe don't forgive and don't forget. With memories of her daughters bleeding ever farther into Michonne's blurred reality, her world is becoming increasingly fractured. Just at the point when she'll need all of her skills to survive.
Awesome. And our episode picks up right where it ended last time. So if you remember last time, we have this standoff between Zachary and us. Sam
Yeah,
is I forgot her name for a second. Sam has Zachary held up and was going to kill him because her brother died when he was accidentally shot by Zachary. And I think both of us stopped Zachary or stopped Sam
yep,
from hurting Zachary, right?
yep,
Cool. So we pick up right there in that moment, and Zachary agrees to help us, and his boyfriend Jonas, who's the medic, like shows up at that time, and they say, "Yeah, we'll help you escape." So they let you out, and then upstairs you are making your way to where Pete is, where you were held hostage earlier. And on your way up, you see a guard who's kind of in your way. So Zachary and Jonas kind of play distraction and are like, "Hey, could you like come look at this with us?" And the guard leaves, and we're able to make our way up. We get up and we find Pete tied to the chair where he was last episode, and start to untie him. But we get caught by Norma and Randall. They both show up and catch you in the act. Sam, meanwhile, has gone kind of on top of the boat, and she jumps on Norma, and then you fight Randall and like beat him up a bit.
yep. And that's. I think you can do it. I think you can also fight Norma, and Sam will jump on Randall. Because
I think.
I think that's what happened in mine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I think you choose who you fight. So I mean, I think it's probably the same outcome where you have to escape. But
Yeah, that would be that's what I would think too. I was surprised a little bit here when Michonne, like for me, when I was fighting Randall, I was like, I would probably just kill him here in this escape. Like you like beat him up and then he sounds the alarm. It's like, shouldn't you just kill them now? Like, I don't know.
yeah,
It
it
doesn't seem
seems.
like you get to escape, try to escape, and then it's like, just kidding. Like you caught me. Like
Yeah,
you're kind
it's.
of
I
all
don't
in.
know. I kind of wonder if Michonne's not just trying to kill a bunch of people. Um, some of that I think we'll see more in the episode. But like Pete's like pretty against violence, so I wonder if she's kind of into that. I don't know.
That's true. Maybe she kind of just sees if I kill anyone, it'll make things worse, um, sort of thing, and so that's why she's not doing it. That would make sense. And like you said, Pete's not for that at all, uh, which we find out basically right away. So we rescue Pete, and then Pete basically immediately is like, "All right, we can escape, but like don't hurt anyone." And you're like, "What?" um,
It's like that's up to them.
they're trying to hurt us. What do you mean?
Yeah,
And he kind of has like, no, we could reason with them. Nothing bad has happened yet. And you're like, yes, it has.
it's like bro, they literally killed what's his name, Greg.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was an accident, but yeah, Randall's nuts. So
Right. I think that even if for some reason everyone would act reasonable, I don't have any trust that Randall would act reasonable at all. Based on the bit we've seen of him in episode 1 and even the beginning of 2. Uh, and so there's a part, your first kind of decision that comes up. Pete's got this kind of thing, and he's like, well, what if I go like surrender over there and distract them and you escape? I could maybe reason with them. They won't hurt me, and you guys can get away. So your first decision that comes up is you can. Pete's getting ready to like walk out of a doorway to ask for help, and you can yank him back in, or you can let him go off. So what did you do?
I for sure pulled him back in. It was just a stupid idea. All they would do is tie him back up, ask him a bunch of questions, probably kill him. Like they're just not. They're not like pure evil per se, but they don't seem very reasonable at this point.
Yeah,
So it just didn't make any sense. Like, if they're going to catch you by yourself, there's no way they're not going to... I don't know. It just made sense to stick together. And I liked Pete, so I didn't want him to surrender, because I assumed he'd be gone at that point.
I agree. I thought that there'd only be ways where it'd go bad. Like, I feel like I could see him opening that door and being like, hey, it's fine. And just someone, like, lighting him up. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I could totally see that happening. Let alone, like you said, if they capture him, like, who says Randall won't, like, cut his fingers off or torture him or, some shit like that. Like, that all seems very in the realm of possibility. I feel like they would even know his plan. They're like, oh, you surrendered so they could get away. Beatings. Like,
Yeah. Where'd they go?
right. I just don't see any way where he's right. He's just wrong here. I think he's being, like, super naive. Not even, like, hoping for the good in people. This is just, like, foolish.
Yeah, which is interesting because, you'd think this far into the zombie apocalypse, you'd kind of be over this kind of mentality to some extent.
Right, yeah. I think that, like, in episode 1, his mentality, I was, like, more on board with. I'm like, you can't write off all people. There are some good people. This is why we do it, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, cool, I get you. Like, that makes sense. But this is, like, have you been here the last, 2 years or however long the apocalypse has gone on?
Yeah,
like,
people generally suck.
Right, yeah. This seems, just super unwise. But for us, 83% of people were like us. 17% of people let him go. So almost everyone kind of same vibe as us here. So for us, we pull Pete back in and we end up making our escape. And kind of how we do this is we like make our way to the pier, and there's different soldiers kind of roaming around looking for us. There's one where we can shoot like a gasoline tank that's on someone's like motorboat or whatever, and kind of explode that, and then kind of like knock a couple people out kind of as we escape and get to a boat and get out of there. And in the escape, we end up like lighting multiple boats of theirs on fire. So
yeah, it's pure chaos.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, super chaotic. As we're speeding away, someone shoots our motor, so the boat starts slowing down once we've put some distance between them, but not a lot. But we end up having to land on some land nearby, like, I don't know, across the lake or whatever body of water this is. And when we get out, Sam says, hey, my dad's house is nearby. He'll help us. Follow me and we'll go there. And so we're like, all right, like, that's our best spot. When we're on land, we find ourselves trapped as the people from what's the name of their community again?
I don't
Monroe.
remember.
Monroe. There
Oh,
we
yeah.
go.
It's in the description.
Yeah. I saw it and I was like, there we go. Yeah, Monroe. The people from Monroe, Randall and company, are kind of heading towards us. They're like shooting at us from the water in their boats. And we have a bunch of walkers in front of us attracted by that gunfire. And so Michonne introduces us to the walker camouflage that she's known for. So she...
Classic.
Yeah, cuts a couple of walkers' arms off, knocks their mouth out, and you use them as your walker camouflage to go through. Pete is really grossed out by this and is like, that's sick,
Yep.
Michonne.
Like, dude, you gotta survive.
Right, exactly. It's better than getting shot or eaten. And so you like make your way doing this. Randall's crew like starts to land on the boat and shooting at you. So you basically like make it out because a walker herd is kind of in the middle of
Yep.
you two.
Yep. Luckily for you, or us, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. That was fortunate not dying there. I thought someone would get killed there. Actually.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was just such a wild scene. After this, Sam, we're like running through the woods with Sam, and Sam takes us to this shaky radio tower that's up next towards a hill, and she's like, this is a shortcut. We can climb up this radio tower, and then we'll be able to get to my dad's house. And so we start climbing it. It's super sketchy. as we're going. But then Randall and his group see what's going on and catch us climbing up it, and they start shooting at us.
Yep.
As they're shooting it at us, the tower ends up collapsing. Michonne, Pete, and Sam all do make it to the top as it's collapsing, so they do get there. But in process, Sam gets shot kind of in like the shoulder area.
Yep.
I thought also this was another spot where I figured someone was dead.
Yeah, I thought Pete, or like, I think probably more Pete. I thought Pete was gonna die here, just because there's that decision at the beginning, which I would assume he'd be out of the episode. It's like, dude's got to be expendable at this point, unfortunately.
Right. I kind of wondered as this was going if letting him leave, he gets shot there. Here, he gets killed instead. But then he didn't die, so I was like, all right,
Yep.
he's
Like,
still going.
awesome. Yep.
So we head our way to Sam's house, and Sam has lost a lot of blood by the time we're getting towards her house. At first, she's like kind of walking, like leaning on Michonne. Then Michonne like has to start carrying her, and she's kind of going like in and out of being there. But we get to the gate, and there's a woman who we find out's name is Paige later, guarding the gate, and she has a rifle pointed at us as walkers are kind of like closing in towards us. And she's like, "Why do you have Sam? You shot her, didn't you? You're trying to trick us." And you're like, no. Like, Sam told us how to get here. How do you think we found it? And she finally like relents last second and is like, "All right, fine, you can come in."
Yeah. What a dumb like. Why would we bring her back here? He would just kill you and take your stuff. If that's what we really wanted to do. It's kind of it's illogical.
Yeah, I don't think she was thinking too clearly. I think she must have just been too like worried about what was going on to be reasoned with. But fortunately, she does let us in. Inside, we perform some surgery on Sam. So we like have her get laid on like a table. Her two like little brothers are there who are I don't know, probably like 6 and 8 or something. Like, they're pretty young. And you like throw her down. You ask for like a med kit thing. You like pour vodka on her wound to clean it out. You
Classic,
like
yeah.
pull the bullet out with something, and then like bandage her up. But it looks like pretty brutal. And Sam, of course, is like hurting and yelling and stuff like that because she got shot and a bullet's getting taken out and you're going into a wound like.
Yeah, with no medication except vodka. Which wouldn't dull the pain, obviously.
Right, yeah. It's not great. And her brothers and Paige are kind of watching and they're like, "You're helping her, but you're hurting her," sort of feel.
Yeah.
And then her like dad shows up and is like, "What are you doing?" Which I don't know. I can understand that. If you walk into that, you're like, what is happening?
Yep. Like, we're saving her life, actually.
Yeah, and for me at least, he understood that pretty quick because I was like, "I've got to get this bullet out to save her life." What are you gonna, something like that? And his son is like helping hold her down, and he's like, "Move, son, I want to help," kind of thing. So I thought he reacted actually really well for walking into a scene like that.
Yep. Good, quick response.
Yeah, totally. He agrees to help. You get the bullet out. Surgery has gone well, and you're like, "All right, now we gotta like see if it works." But we did everything we can. Now we just have to sort of wait. From here, you pick up with Michonne. A little after this, I think she goes to a room to kind of decompress, and Michonne has a flashback again to the day that she lost her daughters. And so before, right, we had that flashback where we killed a bunch of walkers kind of, and it was cutting between the room at her apartment where the walkers were and then the walkers you were actually killing kind of thing. And so we pick up back in that room and Michonne's looking for her daughters, open the doors, can't find them, and our kind of next decision shows up.
Yeah, so at this point, a telephone rings on the counter, and then there's also like you see like someone standing outside the door and then kind of walks off. So you choose, do you chase the the guy that was outside the door, or do you pick up the telephone that's ringing? So, what did you choose?
I chose to pick up the phone. I think my thought was that maybe it would be the daughters calling and could be saying, like, we went to our friend's house or something. It wasn't safe. So
Yeah.
that was my thought. So I went for the phone because I was like, the footsteps outside, like, they did make it clear, I think, that it wasn't a walker. Like,
Yeah, it was just a person, I think. I forget
Yeah.
how
It
they
didn't.
did that, but yeah, it was not a walker.
Yeah, it didn't seem shambly. It seemed like, quicker feet kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, I don't know. This seems more likely. Whoever's in the hallway like might be able to help. But I thought this would have been better. So that was my thought. What did you do?
I picked up the phone too. That was kind of the same thing. I just would never, like in this situation, just chasing someone that you don't know who it is, like just seems like it could be a dangerous or bad idea. Whereas a phone, they're probably calling and I probably know who they are. Maybe they could help. That was kind of my thought.
Yeah, that makes sense. Something I was surprised by this was like early apocalypse, right? Since they have phones,
Yep.
like this was right when the outbreak happened. I thought in episode 1 when we did that, I figured they were at like a camp, like 6 months in or something. And I don't know why I assumed that, but I just figured it was there. Like I didn't realize it was so early in the apocalypse.
Yeah, it's like it seems like the beginning. Yeah, because yeah, you're right. There was phones. There was still kind of like maybe some uncertainty about what was going on, things like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It really felt that way, which I just really assumed it was like you picked up with Michonne in the middle of like early, I don't know, like refugee type camps or whatever, where civilization's still trying to hold together, but they're familiar with the walkers. Instead, this seems like this could have been week 1 of
Yeah, seriously.
of walkers or whatever. So I thought that was pretty wild, and kind of cool to see because when the phone was ringing, I was like, wait, phones? Um,
Yeah, those aren't real
right.
talkies. Yeah,
Yeah. That was just super unexpected.
yeah. So yeah, 75% of people did what we did, then 25% went after the person outside the door.
Nice. I'm guessing I didn't look it up. I wonder if you actually speak to someone, or if
Yeah.
I'm guessing you just get eluded, but
Yeah.
or maybe it's your neighbor or something.
Yeah, I no idea. I didn't check either. Obviously, because I did this decision.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to look into that. I'm curious. But after Michonne's flashback, you pick up in kind of the present time, talking with Paige, and when you talk with Paige, you get a little bit of background on her. You find out that her family, I think, were kind of neglectful, and I don't know, didn't pay a lot of mind to her. So she spent a lot of time at their house, at Sam's house, and that she's like a good friend of Sam's.
Yeah.
And so you kind of find out how she's there. So because so far, everyone we've known is part of Sam's family. Greg's her brother who got killed in episode 1. These are her 2 little brothers, Sam and her dad. So we get that kind of information. We also, I believe, find out here that Sam's mom had died sometime in the apocalypse. And so I think Paige being close to the family is kind of giving you the layout of what's going on, and is like, man, we can't take like another loss. Like if we lose Greg and Sam, like that's gonna like destroy the dad and the 2 little brothers, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, good. A good. I feel like info dump, but not in a bad way. It didn't feel weird. It felt pretty normal. Like a good way just to get kind of, okay, this is what's happening.
Yeah, it felt natural. As opposed to like a weird monologue for 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It seemed like it was like getting the information you would want to know if you were Michonne. Like, okay, what's the vibe? What are the people like?
Yeah.
What should I do? Like, I'm new here, and also like shown up like with Sam unconscious and injured. Like it looks like I'm trying to help, but you don't know me, so like, I don't know, that kind of thing. In this conversation too, I think Paige makes a comment about like how do you keep going when you just want it to be over or something like that. And it provides this opportunity where you can reveal to Paige that you considered shooting yourself at the beginning of episode 1. And this one gives you kind of a couple options. This choice I felt a little goofy on because I didn't quite know it was a choice. I don't know if you felt this way.
Yeah, it seemed like minor or like inconsequential or whatever to me. So,
Yeah. Did it do the normal like
it
timer?
did.
It did do the timer?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it did.
Okay. What it kind of rolls out to is you can try to offer good advice, you can tell Paige that you did try to shoot yourself, or you can express sympathy for her situation. So what did you do / why?
I told her I tried. I figured that'd be the most helpful because like I'm still here and didn't work, and maybe a chance to talk about how maybe I'm glad it didn't work. I don't know. So it seemed like kind of the other two options wrapped up into one.
Yeah. Nice. No, that's cool. For me, mine ended up being tried to offer good advice is the one I fell under, but I kind of felt similar of I wasn't like, I don't know, quite sure what my decision was being. Like I basically wasn't trying to hide anything. I just was not, I think my main goal was to be supportive.
Yeah.
But I think that all of these are maybe expressions of how to do that. So I don't know. I think Telltale botched it with this choice. This one's dumb. Like,
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't even think it's supposed to be I don't know. I don't feel like it's a choice as much as just how like you interact. I don't know.
It's just a conversation,
yeah.
response. That
Right.
seems inconsequential, so it's to me not a real choice.
Yeah. I just thought it was strange, but I guess for ultimate breakdown, tried to offer good advice. 44% of people did that. Admitted was 35%, and then 21% expressed sympathy. So I don't know. I think this is definitely one of your more meh choices in the game.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Yeah. So after this, you kind of get this info with Paige. You talk with her. Then her dad comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to talk to you. Could we go outside? I kind of want to, get a lay of the land, make a plan, all that stuff." And you're like, "Okay, cool." And he tells you a little bit about his wife, kind of expounding on what Paige had told you. And then he also says, "So from what I've heard from Pete and, otherwise, is there are some bad people out there who might try to come here. Would you be kind of willing to help defend my home? Like we wouldn't last at all if some bad people come. It's, me and some kids kind of thing."
Yeah.
And in the middle of talking, he just gets shot in the head. His face like explodes next to you, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Randall
Yep.
and company are here,
Yep.
which was wild. I did not expect.
Yeah, did not expect that either. Yeah.
And I was bummed out because I liked him a bit. Like
Yeah,
I thought he was
good
cool.
Yep, he seemed very reasonable, level-headed, like a good guy to have on your side.
Yeah, totally. I like. He made a pretty strong impression for probably being in, 30 minutes of the game, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, at most.
Yeah,
Maybe
it could really be like 15.
even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is wild. Like, yeah, just that he could make an impression like that. Because for me, I was like, I like this guy. Like, he was already, like, sliding into, of people I like kind of thing. I was like, okay, cool. Pete's still my guy, but, he was feeling like someone I could be into. Or I liked the time with Paige before this, too. So I was like, okay, I like these two. And even I felt warmed up to Sam by now. Last episode, I was kind of meh on Sam, but I like Sam more in this episode. Like by the time we met her family and all of that, I was more bought into her too. Even
Yeah, I think I liked all of the people that we could have been a crew with at this point. They all seem like pretty interesting, like enjoyable characters for sure.
yeah, totally. So you're suddenly thrown into this combat situation though because uh, her dad got shot in the face, and so
Yep.
Randall's guys are kind of swarming around the house looking for people, and you and Pete are in the courtyard, and so you manage to each kill kind of all of Randall's people in this, like sneaking up on them, killing them, all that stuff. And you've got a point where Randall is trying to fight Paige, and so you like rush in there to fight him. Pete helps, and Randall's like handling his own against you three for a while.
Yeah, Randall's tough for sure.
He's like holding it down, and in this for sure, I was worried that our friends would die
Yep.
just as it was going. But ultimately, there's a part where you like get the upper hand on him while you're like fighting in the garage, and when you like knock him down, Paige manages to swoop in and like tighten this vice grip around his hands.
Pro move, right? What a great move.
Oh yeah, great move. Also, like, holy fuck, that's brutal. So
Yep.
basically, his hands in this vice grip, and it's tightened, and you can like see blood come from his hands. Like it hurts,
Yep.
and he's stuck in place. Like he's not moving because he's fastened to it, tightened to it. I don't know.
Yeah, he's stuck there.
Yeah. So you've got this kind of situation where you, Pete, and Paige are all standing around Randall. Randall's hands are tightened into this vice grip, and he's talking shit about what's going on, and you're kind of trying to figure out what to do. And the radio in his pocket gets a call from Norma, and this kind of brings us to our next decision.
Yeah, so Norma's obviously calling for Randall, like, what's the update? Did you find him? Etc. So you have a couple choices. You can just take the radio, do nothing, say nothing. You can speak to her yourself, or you can try to let Randall speak to her and just essentially tell her everything's cool, whatever. So yeah, what did you end up doing for this one?
I spoke to her myself. So one of the options is Michonne can be like, "Oh, I've got Randall," kind of thing. And my thought was I just wanted to take sort of an authoritative stance in all of this. Like, I've got your brother, you're gonna back the fuck off, like kind of thing. So I didn't really trust that she'd be reasonable, so I was like, I'm just gonna, you know, be in charge here.
Yeah, that's fair. So at first I let Randall speak to her, hoping he would just not want to get killed and just tell her everything's fine. But he was like, "Yeah, we're all good." And then he started talking about Michonne, and then cut him off, and then I ended up speaking to her too, and kind of went the same route you did.
Okay.
So
That
my decision was kind of like tried it, didn't work, and then I just spoke to her myself.
that makes sense. I could see him being difficult in this based on everything else he's done. He's such an asshole.
Yeah, he's not a good dude. He's pretty shitty.
Yeah, he's super shitty.
Yeah.
So okay, so you let him start speaking at least in the beginning.
Yeah, and then it like 5 seconds later he was about to probably say some shit about where we were and everything. So I cut him off.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's so 58% of people let Randall speak to her, and I assume probably ended up what I did. And then 39% spoke to her herself, and then 3% didn't say anything.
Okay. Did when Randall was speaking to her, did you basically have an option where you'd like pull it away, kind of
Yeah,
thing?
you just like because you're holding down like the talk button, you like just let go of it.
Okay, interesting. Um,
So I don't know what he would have said. He just mentioned Michonne is here, or like I'm with Michonne or something, and then that was it. It's like, all right, fuck.
Okay. I wonder what. Yeah, I bet you're right. I bet if you like kept it down, he eventually was like, "Hey, this is where we are. Come get us." Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
probably.
That would make sense. Um, so you have this conversation. Kind of where you get from here is Norma's upset. Randall's her brother, so she's protective of him and is basically like, if anything happens to him, you're gonna never wish you were born, kind of shit. And you're like, yeah, I don't trust you. Like, how do I know
Yep.
that like you would let us all go and leave us alone, kind of thing. So you have this sort of argument with Norma, and then Randall, meanwhile, is being a shithead the whole time that you've got him, in the vice grips. So he'll be like, "Oh, you're fucked. If you kill me, what's gonna happen is Norma's gonna come here and kill all of you, just like they did your dad." While the little kids are there, just God, what a
Yeah,
fucker.
so fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, "But if you do what Norma asks, I'm gonna come kill all of you anyway." And so he's being a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
And like really egging us on for sure. But more than egging us on, I don't think he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't do it." Like I think instead he's just such an asshole. Um,
It's just a psychopath. Yeah.
yeah. He's a piece of shit. Meanwhile, in this, when he's talking shit, you can like torture him if you want. So I did. I kept tightening the vice grips. I was like, "Fuck you, man." Um, like I don't know.
I didn't do any of that.
Really,
Yeah, I was trying to play it. Yeah, I was trying to play it cool.
I was.
Because it's I don't know. I assume he just kept talking more and more.
Yeah, he did. He kept talking more and more, and so when he talked shit, I was like, "All right, we're not like doing this." So I just kept tightening his hands, and he was like, "Ooh, you're like, you get it," kind of thing. You're like me, sort of thing. So, yeah, I was getting in there. I was like, if I do let you live, you're not gonna have hands that work that well.
Nice.
Yeah, God, what a piece of shit. But then this leads to your kind of next decision. Pete and Paige and Sam, because she's gotten up since then and finds out her dad died, so that sucks for her. Are like, what do we
Yeah.
do? What should happen, kind of thing. And Pete, for me, he's kind of mad at me. He's like, "You're just gonna do what you want anyway. Like, you won't listen to reason." And Paige, I think, played sort of the other side for me, where she was like, "This guy can't be let go." Is that how it went for you? Like how?
Yeah, I mean Pete. Yeah, I mean Pete. Normal spiel about like wanting to do things without hurting people, and Paige seems more reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, you get your like decision point. What are you gonna do? And you pick up this wrench, and you can decide to either bash Randall's head in with it, or you can choose to let him live. What did you do? / why?
I let him live, mostly because I didn't. I don't know. I figured that if I definitely killed him, Norma would come after me, and maybe Randall would probably come after us. But back on the boat, Norma seemed to kind of have somewhat of a control over him. So it's like maybe this will just end things, or at least we'll have enough time to get far away without killing this dude. I don't know. I just felt like it was the right call. I guess I don't really have a whole lot of reason behind it. I just think I felt like I don't want to kill him. There's no reason to, other than he's a giant douchebag.
That makes sense. I can see
Yeah.
that for sure.
I'm assuming you just slaughtered him.
I did. I killed him. I was like, there's no way that, like, to me, I was like, Randall, he's too unpredictable to have around. Like, he's gonna kill somebody. Like, even if, I mean, I guess we know Michonne probably can't die.
Yeah.
But, he's gonna kill somebody, and I was like, I don't want him to be around for this. And I didn't trust that he, like, could be contained by Norma. Because...
That's fair.
Like, he got Greg killed. I mean, like, Zachary did it, but that was all Randall's fault, really. And Randall probably killed all those people on that boat.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah,
So
that's a good point.
I was just like, I mean, Norma's gonna want to kill us, but I was like, I don't know, maybe we could beat them. I mean, we did kill some of their guys and have guns now. Like, I guess if we had to hold it down, like we might be able to win, um,
Yeah,
kind of thing. But that was sort of my thought. I was like, he's just too unpredictable. I don't want him around anymore. It felt bad. Like I didn't like necessarily torturing him and killing him, like the way that it happened. Like I don't know, ruining his hands and bashing his face with a wrench. Like it's pretty savage. Um,
yep.
I
Execution style. Yeah.
yeah, like I think I'd rather have just shot him in the face, kind of thing, if like those were options for me. But I was like, this guy is gonna kill someone. I think what's gonna happen though, unfortunately, is that Norma's gonna kill someone next episode because I did this either
Probably.
way.
Yeah.
Maybe Randall will kill someone for you, but we'll see. I'm interested to see what will happen after this for that.
Yeah, me too.
But all in all, 53% of people bashed Randall's head in like I did. 47% of people let him live like you did. So some options
Yep.
for sure of how
Pretty
this can
split.
go. Yeah, I would say good decision. I know that some of the decisions before this we said weren't decisions or weren't good, but I think this one was tough. I thought about it for a while because like I'm not normally one to play these games and do rash things like kill people like this, but yeah, I just was like, this guy sucks too much. Like he's bad enough that he just needs to be out of the equation.
Yeah, he's pretty terrible. He's up there. He's bad.
Yeah. Okay. I would say that is our recap. And we can move to some general thoughts about the episode. What did you have?
We've touched on some of them a little bit about like the choices. I'll just maybe reiterate some of those. I thought up until like the last choice, they didn't really seem that like important to me. Which was kind of a bummer. I feel like the last choice was really good, but the rest of them didn't really seem, except maybe the Pete one. The rest of them didn't seem to have like actual consequences for or against the choice you made. So I was a little bummed about that.
Yeah, they didn't really do a lot. I agree. They were all pretty inconsequential, except this last one. I'm trying to remember. Did it feel that way for the first set of choices in the first game?
I don't remember. I was trying to think about that too.
Like the last one, I felt consequential as to shooting Zachary or not, or letting Sam kill him.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, you'd be escaping. But it was nice to have them help you, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very useful.
Yeah. That's interesting. I feel like that. I wonder if that goes to that point you made last week. I thought about it more this time, of like, well, you're Michonne, you won't die.
Yeah, invincible.
Yeah. You have invincibility. Versus playing as Lee or Clementine or Javi, I didn't feel invincible in those games.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, yeah, I don't think I ever felt that way at all.
No, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't feel like I really felt that way in any of them. So that's interesting. I wonder if this was maybe not the best choice. I feel like playing this. Like I'm glad we're playing it, and I think there's some cool things in these games. But I wonder if this was not a smart move by Telltale of having you play as a character whose decisions like they're not in
Yeah.
danger,
Yep. Yeah, I probably. Very popular character though, so I could see why they did it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if someone like deserves a game, Michonne's a good one, but I wonder if it would be like better fit for a like, I don't know, you're more like standard action game, like I mean
Yeah.
I know we said it for gameplay wise, but like if I don't know, I was playing an Uncharted type of game, except it's Michonne, I wouldn't be worried about Michonne dying anyway. Like that's not how those games are.
Yeah. That brings up one thing too. I felt like at the beginning escaping the Monroe community, and then like when you're killing guards and like or Randall's people in the house area, it was like, all right, Michonne's pretty sweet. Like she's takes people out, which is I felt like that was kind of cool. Again, Telltale, so the action's not great, but it was fun to see her just destroy people.
Yeah, totally. I like that too. I felt like especially that escape scene, that was like a pretty cool. Telltale's not action heavy, but I thought that one was done really well and was fun. And
Yeah,
I liked like seeing it happen. I thought that was cool for sure.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um, yeah, one thing, and I guess we did touch on it already, but I think that this game, despite some of the things we just talked about, has done pretty well with their characters. Like, I like Paige. I want more of her. I'm bought into Sam. Last episode, like, if Sam would have died instead of Greg, I wouldn't have probably cared. But this
Yeah,
episode, I kind
same.
of came around to her and, like, felt like I understood her a little more, and she wasn't just being shady or whatever. And I liked the little bit we got with her dad, and would have liked more time with him. So I feel like they did a pretty good job with these characters here. And I think like Randall certainly really works as the unstable bad guy. Like he's doing a great job in that role. um,
Yeah,
so I feel like despite those things, like there's some things that this game works for me. Like I feel like they're doing a good job.
yeah. I do like the characters. I think they have nailed that, which is one of the most important things anyway. So that's a big plus for me. Big pro.
Yeah, totally. Especially for a game like this. Like if you don't like the characters, and even like it's a Michonne game, so like you could have everyone be like whatever, but instead like I'm. It's not like I like Michonne and then there's other characters in this game. It's like they've made them appealing. So yeah, they did a good job on that, for sure. The other thing that I had that I don't know just really stood out to me playing this one is is Randall the worst Walking Dead villain in like the Telltale games? And worst as in like he's the worst person, not
Yeah.
he's not a good villain, but he's so bad. Um, like I guess spoilers for the other Telltale games, the other Walking Dead ones. But so like the first one, you got like the stranger guy who like kidnaps Clem.
Yeah.
You've got Carver in season two. Um,
Yep.
in A New Frontier, what you've got the traders in the town. I forget their
Yep.
names now. Joan,
Me
maybe.
too. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and then in the final season, it's like Abel slash Lily kind of thing. And like, if you're going through those, like the stranger guy, like he's not well. He's basically kind of like lost it once he lost his family.
Yep.
Carver is like pretty bad and would be maybe who gives Randall a run for his money. But he also still had sort of like your like Negan savior kind of thing of like, well, I have to like do this for the people. So sometimes you got to do bad things to save people, and saving people is my biggest priority. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think Randall's probably the worst as far as like just brutality.
Right. It seems like he just like likes that it's bad. Like it seems like he probably enjoys his life more in the apocalypse than before it because he can just be a monster and that's fine.
Yeah. That's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah, which is crazy. You know, like it's just pretty wild to see, you know, such a bad guy in this game specifically. You know, it's like it's not the heavy duty like the biggest bad in the mainline game. It's like this is a side game, but they created a really good bad guy for it. I don't know. He's just yeah, bad in a pretty unique way. He's just so evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That just stood out to me when I was playing this, and it was like, especially when he's just when he was talking shit when he's a prisoner. Like it wasn't just posturing. It was like, no, you're this bad. Like I don't know. I feel like sometimes you see bad guys who like they're captured and you have the upper hand, and they're like, you'd be worried because blah blah blah. This is what I'm gonna do, and you're like, you're just talking, and I'm gonna hurt you, and then you'll stop talking. And Randall is not that way at all. He's like, no, I'm
No.
actually gonna do that.
Yep, and keep talking about it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of my other big thing that stood out to me. Did you have any other things that you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I'm all good.
Cool. All right. Well, I would say that covers our episode. So yeah, that's Michonne, episode 2. We'll be wrapping up next time with the 3rd episode. So one more to go, and then we've officially played everything Telltale Walking Dead.
Yep.
Which is cool. That'll be nice to have finally closed this chapter since neither of us have played this. So, yeah, I guess to wrap us up, if you'd like to contact us, you can talk to us on Twitter at StoryEverPod, our website, TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com. That has a backlog of all of our episodes, including all the Telltale Walking Deads, among other Telltale games, and a whole bunch of other games. So if you want more of this kind of stuff, it is there. If you'd like to support the podcast financially, you can do that at patreon.com/TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed. For as little as $1 per month, that will give you monthly bonus episodes. We've done ones on our favorite Telltale Walking Dead characters. We've talked about Life is Strange on there, among other things like that. So if that sounds like something you'd like to hear, sort of list or top 5s or different things like that, that's there. If you'd like to support the podcast but can't financially, that's totally fine. One cool way you could do that is just to rate and review us on Apple Podcast or wherever you get podcast. You could share it with a friend, anything like that, really just to I don't know, get to share these games we all enjoy together with more folks. That would be cool.
Yep.
And yeah, that is our episode, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.